In a dimly lit room, an enigmatic man toils away, meticulously sketching and measuring on a map, carefully considering numerous details for a crucial plan. Afterward, he dons a cozy jacket and hastily departs his residence. Meanwhile, over at a financial firm, David finds himself in a tough conversation with a client on the phone, grappling with significant losses just before Christmas. Once the call ends, his colleague Corey swings by to swipe some of his candy, aiming to lift his spirits. Corey also reminds David that his long-standing crush, Emily, will be leaving the company after New Year's, advising him to seize the opportunity and ask her out soon, even though David isn't convinced it's a good idea. Later that evening, at the office Christmas party, David and Corey revel in the festivities. While Corey indulges in drinks with their other friends, David attempts to strike up a conversation with Emily, but it quickly becomes awkward and concludes abruptly. Moments later, as Emily exits the party, David rushes after her, claiming she left her hat behind, although she's actually wearing it. This unexpected interruption costs her a chance at a cab, providing David with an opportunity to finally ask her out. Emily agrees, and when she attempts to hail a taxi, David suggests giving her a ride home instead. Before departing, David makes a quick stop inside to inform Corey of his departure. However, Corey is quite inebriated and reminds David of his promise to take him home as well, leaving David with no choice but to accommodate a third wheel. During the ride, Corey continues to drink and makes rather fully sh remarks, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere and prompting David to apologize repeatedly to Emily. Corey also requests David's phone because he misplaced his at the party, resulting in David's phone quickly running out of battery. Despite the freezing night, Corey insists on getting pizza, imploring David to make a pit stop at a nearby ATM for cash to cover his meal. Although David offers to pay with his own card, Corey insists the restaurant only accepts cash. When they reach the ATM, Corey enters while David and Emily remain in the car, engaged in a conversation about the protective charm David keeps in the vehicle. Suddenly, Corey starts making signals, apparently experiencing card difficulties. David eventually goes inside to assist him. Feeling cold and alone in the car, Emily decides to join them. She attempts to lock the car upon exiting, but the lock doesn't cooperate. Once inside the ATM, David explains to Emily that the car's lock is malfunctioning but reassures her that they won't be gone for long. He proceeds to withdraw cash because Corey's card has been declined for an unknown reason. As they prepare to leave, they suddenly spot an individual wearing a fluffy coat outside. Emily finds it peculiar, as there's no visible car nearby, and David immediately considers the possibility of a potential intruder. However, Corey dismisses the situation, assuming the man just needs to use the ATM. He urges his friends to stop being paranoid. As Corey steps out of the booth, the man advances, frightening Corey back inside. Corey calls out, inviting the man inside, but receives no response. The man stands in the darkness, staring eerily at the trio, motionless. Suddenly, a dog walker appears behind the mysterious man, who swiftly turns and rushes toward the newcomer, violently attacking him. Terrified, the trio wants to call 911. But they realize David's phone is charging in the car, and Emily left hers in her purse, which is also locked in the car. Desperate for a solution, they search for emergency buttons inside the booth but find nothing. Outside, the man continues to stand there, seemingly unfazed by the disturbing incident. David asks Emily for his car keys, and despite Corey's attempt to stop him, David insists he can dash to the car, retrieve his phone, and call the police before the man can reach him. At that moment, the mysterious man approaches David's car with a toolbox and heads to the back of the booth. Strange noises follow, and the power briefly flickers. When it returns, the temperature starts to plummet, and they realize the man has disabled the ATM's heater. It appears he intends for them to suffer slowly rather than directly harm them as he did with the dog walker. As the man returns to his watchful position, David tries to trigger the ATM's alarm by striking the glass enclosure, but Emily stops him, fearing it would allow the man to get in. David and Corey then attempt to kick the ATM in another effort to activate the alarm, but their efforts prove futile. Emily notices a smoke alarm, but none of them has a lighter. Suddenly, distant lights appear, and Corey spots a police car. The trio starts yelling to get its attention, but unfortunately, the car passes by without noticing them. While the man listens from behind the booth, David comes up with an idea. They should offer the man their money and jewelry, hoping it will persuade him to leave. They place Emily's earrings, Corey's watch, and David's $500 in an envelope from the ATM. David exits, demonstrating that they mean no harm, and tosses the envelope toward the man, pleading with him to release them. As the man picks up the envelope, David seizes the opportunity and races to his car. However, he discovers the wires have been cut when he attempts to start the car. He grabs Emily's phone and dials 911, but at that moment, the man strikes the window, pulling David out of the car. A struggle ensues, causing David to accidentally drop the phone. With the mysterious man gripping his jacket, David slips out of it and retreats into the booth. To their astonishment, the man doesn't pursue him. Instead, he grabs Emily's phone and tosses it into the car trunk along with the envelope. Emily uses her lipstick to scrawl "help" on the door while the men finally manage to create a hole in the wall, yet the alarm remains silent. Emily tries to use David's card on the ATM by entering the code backward, believing it will trigger a police alert, but Corey points out that it's an urban legend. As time passes, the trio begins to feel the biting cold. When they don't see the man outside, Corey contemplates leaving, but Emily persuades him otherwise. Corey then wonders if the man might be one of David's clients seeking revenge for financial losses suffered through their company, sparking an argument. Thankfully, the chilling temperatures quickly silence them, and they decide to hold hands to stay warm. Suddenly, a car with a security guard notices Emily's message and approaches the booth to investigate. As the guard approaches, the trio desperately tries to warn him about the killer and implore him to call the police. Tragically, the guard takes only a few steps before the mysterious man appears beside him and brutally beats him to death with a tire iron. Losing all hope, Emily slumps into a corner of the booth, clearly in a state of despair, while Corey and David wonder if the cold is affecting her mental state. At that critical moment, the man entered the ATM booth, triggering David and Corey to immediately engage him in a fierce brawl, determined to protect themselves from harm. The three men tumbled to the floor, and David noticed a wire hanging from the ATM. He seized it, using it to restrain the mysterious man while Corey pinned him down. Afterwards, they were haunted by the fact that they had resorted to violence to ensure their survival. However, a disturbing revelation unfolded outside. The mysterious man was still there, observing them. Examining the wallet found in the man's pockets, they learned he was just an ordinary worker with a family who had innocently wanted to use the ATM and coincidentally happened to be wearing the same jacket as the actual killer. This discovery only deepened their feelings of guilt. Moments later, the mysterious man returned to the rear of the booth to work on something, while Corey appropriated the jacket from the deceased man to keep warm. An argument between David and Corey erupted as they began blaming each other for their predicament. It quickly escalated into a physical altercation until Emily implored them to cease. A frustrated Corey stormed out in an attempt to escape on his own, ignoring his friends' pleas to stay. However, he stumbled over a wire set up by the man and was promptly attacked with a screwdriver. David wanted to assist Corey, but Emily prevented him and, in the process, David accidentally pushed her too forcefully. Once Corey was outside, the mysterious man returned to the ATM's rear door, wielding a fire hose. Emily and David, mourning the loss of their friend, tried to console each other. David confessed that the hat he claimed Emily had left at the party was merely an excuse to strike up a conversation with her, and in that moment, the two shared a kiss. A sudden noise outside startled them, indicating that the man was still working on something behind the ATM. To their astonishment, Corey began to move, proving that he was actually alive. Seizing the opportunity while the killer was occupied, David and Emily rushed outside to retrieve Corey, bringing him back into the booth before the man could catch them. Emily and David attempted to stem Corey's bleeding and prevent hypothermia by covering his wound with flyers and Emily's jacket, while David desperately pounded the ATM with a trash can in a final effort to activate an alarm. The mysterious man pushed David's car in front of the ATM, blocking the exit, and then departed. In a matter of seconds, the ATM booth started filling with frigid water through the heating vents, courtesy of the hose the man had connected at the rear. Emily and David struggled to keep Corey above the rising water, but their efforts were in vain. However, David discovered a lighter in one of the jacket's pockets. As Corey succumbed to the water, and the man set up a chair outside to continue his watch, David ignited some flyers in an attempt to trigger the smoke alarm. Yet, he couldn't reach it, no matter how hard he tried. Emily had an idea. She climbed onto David's shoulders and raised the trash can, finally bringing the flame close enough to activate the fire alarm. They rejoiced at their success, but in that moment, David slipped, causing Emily to fall and fatally hit her head on a shelf. Devastated and clutching Emily's lifeless body, David witnessed the mysterious man ramming the security guard's car into his own, smashing through the glass. Fueled by anger and having lost everything, David transformed Corey's bottle of wine into a Molotov cocktail using a piece of jacket, then ventured outside and hurled it at the figure in the chair. The figure immediately caught fire, but shockingly, it was revealed that it was not the mysterious man but the security guard's body wearing the same coat. The real man continued watching from a distance. Finally, a group of police officers and firefighters arrived, encircling the ATM. The mysterious man vanished. David attempted to explain what had occurred, but the security cameras told a different story. With no audio, and the mysterious man always keeping his distance to avoid being recorded, the footage suggested that David, Corey, and Emily were robbing the ATM and had murdered the innocent family man as a witness. It also appeared as if David had killed his two friends. The police arrested David, and as he was taken away, he spotted the mysterious man among the onlookers. Sometime later, the mysterious man returned to his lair to craft a new plan. It was revealed that he was a serial killer, specializing in elaborate schemes to trap people in ATM booths, leaving the last survivor to shoulder the blame.